back again. These things, this is what I'm talking about. The rubber on the car, on the 90, has split really bad. So, you can buy a kit, that's it there. This is a Britpart one, believe it or not, they fit quite well. And it's got everything in you need, but they are a right bugger of a job to do. In fact, so much so it's a bugger of a job, it's actually simpler just to buy the arm with a ball in it. But there exists a kit to repair it. But you need this fiendish tool to put them in with, because you've got to set the seats into the ball. Well, instead of me opening this new bag, let me go and get one. I should have brought it with me, shouldn't I? Here it is. This is the ball joint. So this piece is set into this arm about here. So you've got that bit, and the ball goes through, and you've got the seat. And just to make life that bit more interesting, there's a very heavy spring. That goes on there. Then you've got a cap. Now notice the cap has got a chamfer on the edge. That's in order to put an O-ring in, so it doesn't leak grease or let water out. And then you've somehow got to get this circlip in. Man, what a pain it is. So I bought one of these little kits here, and in fact I tell you what I might just do. I might just put the measurements and dimensions on the website, on the shop, for a couple of bucks. You can see how they are and save you a fortune. The thing is, these are measured precisely to pull that top joint down. So getting the circlip out, well, that's not too bad. But getting this out is really hard. We will do a video on this shortly, but at the moment I haven't really got time to mess about. So let's have a look. I'll just briefly show you because I've got to get back to work. Otherwise boss will kill me. See, what you do is you put that on, then you put this at the bottom like that. You put your nut on. It's a fine threaded, yeah, it's a UNF thread. And you draw down that seat. Now when you put it back on, you do it the other way, you draw it back in. It's quite a clever piece of kit, but like I said to you before, just buy the arm. But the problem, the inherent problem with the arms is getting the bloody things off. They're so tight. What else can we mention? Oh, well, we might as well go through the whole rigmarole of this front steering. Lots of people have made this mistake of putting, when they do right-hand drive to left-hand drive conversions, they think, oh, we can cheap out here and we can put the right-hand drive drag onto the left-hand drive side. Pfft, great. Except it doesn't work. In here, you can probably see here, here, here and here. You can see, I don't know if you can see that. Well, anyway, you can see there's like some splines missing, and they're called master splines. And that means you can only put that in one of 4 positions, right? Now you would think that it doesn't really matter right-hand drive and left-hand drive, but it does. Because if you put the right-hand drive on a left-hand drive, you're going to have a lot of movement one way, like you'll have a lot of movement this way, but nothing the other way because it bangs up against the side. They're actually keyed slightly off-centre. So you can see the key on this one, the master spline on this one, is at this side. And I think this is right-hand drive, I'm not really sure. Just picked it off the shelf. But the other side is keyed the other way. A couple of splines out makes all the difference. They are notoriously difficult to get off. For some strange reason, they only applied, they put 2 little lugs on here to pull that off. Can you use a 2-legged puller? I've never got away with it. I have one that was made for me a long time ago. Well, I might as well show you that as well while we're at it. This is my puller. and it was burnt out of a solid piece of steel. It's got a bolt in here, and there's a little dimple in there so you can put a ball bearing in. So when you tighten it, you've got something to relieve the friction and keep this in place. And this fits over there, sort of like that, look. Now you think, oh Mike, it don't fit. Well no, well it does, but I keep going down to my friend's workshop who's got a 100-ton press, because this will actually splay out. Because it's, like I say, it's not the proper steel. It's just something we cobbled together. And then what he does is he presses it back in. So we pressed it a little bit too much in, so that it's got a chance of catching on them ears, or lugs, or whatever you want to call them, and pulling it down. So it minimises the minimises this stretching out. They are tight, and it's not tight because they're rusty. It's just tight because they're on a taper, and it's got a great big nut underneath, and they're a bit tricky to get off. But it's doable. Now, like I say, you can rent a tool here in local auto shops, but you'll end up breaking it, and you don't want that because they'll charge you for it. You can't use what's called the... Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to go in my toolbox again. Let's do it back again. You can't use one of these. This is the old style ball joint remover. Yeah, I prefer hammering the joints like I just showed you to get them off. Why? Because when you use them, I mean, if the ball joint's buggered, well, okay, you bang these in and it'll wedge the ball joint away from the arm. And the problem is, if you want to save the ball joint, you just want to take it off for some other maintenance or access, you'll ruin the rubber. Now, if you use a pickling fork, I think they're called a pickling fork, if you use one of those on a steering box like this, you will bugger up the steering box. Believe me, I've seen it done. Because as you're pulling down, as this is going in, this is pulling down. Your box is remaining static, remember. This will pull down and put an awful lot of stress on the selector shaft that's in the middle, and those are very, very expensive. So you can break bearings, you can break parts, you can break all sorts, so you can cause more damage. Why not warm them up, Mike? Why not just warm them up and heat them up? Well, you've got a chance on your steering box to melt the seal that's in there. Can't win, can you? It's very awkward little things. Yeah. See, they came up with a better idea on the Discovery. Discovery was a far better idea, because this was just a solid arm, you know, and then the ball joint was actually in the drag link. This thing, it was in here, you know, sort of like that. Like sort of like that, attached to that. So didn't have this thing. A lot better idea. So that therefore there was no need to take this off. I've had, when I first came to Canada, I went to the inspection station. They failed one of my vehicles on... Where have they gone now? Oh yeah. They failed one of my vehicles on play in that dragling. Where has it gone now? Oh yeah. They failed on this. They said there's some movement in it. Oh, he says, no, you can't have that. And I said, but there's a spring in it. He said, no. No. It has to be solid. So I put another, at that time, because this was like 20 odd years ago, I bought a kit, you know, like one of these repair kits. I'll put it damn things down somewhere. Anyway, I bought one of those repair kits. Oh, it's in my pocket. Oh, I must have put it back on the shelf. Anyway, I bought a repair kit for one of these, put it in, and you could see that I've taken the clip out and it was all nice and clean. All this was painted and stuff like that. Still failed it. I had to come back and get the workshop manual and show him, look, look at that spring. In fact, I took the workshop manual and I took the old spring and showed him. I said, look, it's got a spring in it. It's to sort of stop that bit of shock going into your steering box. Anyway, after that, once he understood it, he passed it. And consequently after that, because I was putting great big like 5-foot bars in and going, oh no, there's a bit of play in it. So now when I go down, he says, and he said, yes, I understand, that's how it should be. All right. So they just don't do that over here, you see. They don't have that system. So anyway, I'm lost now. I don't know what I was on about. Oh yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to replace the rubber on this bit, you know, and that's it. I'm going to pack it with grease, put the rubber on, put a new nut on it and a new split pin, and that's it. The old one, I'll have to drill the pin out in situ. Now, one other little thing. God, what a lot of trivia you're learning today. Some of these arms here, where the circlip goes, had a groove. Right, just rather like these, ball joints. Remember that earlier? In fact, I tell you what, let me take it off. I just wanted to show you this while I was taking this joint off. You remember earlier that some have a little spring clip? Well, some have got this bloody god-awful, I don't know what this sort of clip you'd call this. British Standard Awful, I think it is. You'll have seen them. Like a little spiral clip, like that look. See? It wraps around. Awful. But I've got to use it again. Now, exactly, this is what I was wanting to show you. See, this has got plenty of grease on. It's still nice and tight. The rubber, kaput, put that in the bin. Now, if you, well, yeah, I'll leave it there. Look, you can probably see what I'm talking about here. See, this has got a groove in here. Maybe you can see it a bit clearer now. Now, on some of the earlier drop arms, where is it now? Here. I should have an assistant. On some of these earlier drop arms, they were parallel. This bit, which would be that shoulder where that clip goes on, would be parallel. And of course, with the actions of this moving this way and this way, bloody clip kept coming off, and water would get in. So that was a very early. Oh, I'll put this camera up again. That was a very early failure for these. Later ones, I've got a lip on, like that tie rod end down there. They're a lot better. They don't come off then. Consequently, water doesn't get in, therefore they don't wear out. So, just things, they have modernised things a little bit over the years, but I understand from your point of view, and anybody repairing steering and things like this on Defenders especially, that sometimes when we're building cars out of bits and pieces, we're changing an axle for this and we're putting a different steering, or we're changing from steering from left to right and up and down, backwards and forwards, that we mix and match parts up. That's what I'm trying to say. We mix and match bits and bobs, and you know, if you sell your car, then the next owner says, what the hell is this? You know, you've got a tracker at end like this on one end, and where's the other thing? And you've got a tracker at end like that on the other end. And people say, well, what the hell is that? Anyway, one other thing, I'm going, before I stop, before I finish now. Back to this. The drag link tube is the same as your track rod, right? It's got a left hand thread in and it's got a right hand thread in it. The reason for that is that when you put your tie rod on, well, look at that, what a guess. Got that one right first straight away. When you adjust your tracking or your adjustment, you work this backwards and forwards to get the right length. All right, so that's why we do it like that. And this is why we put heaps and heaps of thread guard on there to stop these from, because if you have to adjust your tracking or something like that, that's the way, that's how we do it. We turn these backwards and forwards, and on your tie rod at the front it'll make your wheels go in or out, you know. And you're supposed to set, I think it's, you set them at 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch toe out on Defenders, not toe in. Cars are toe in, Defenders are toe out. I don't know, I think it's because it's four-wheel drive, I'm not really sure. I don't know, it could be something to do with Britain going decimal, who knows. Anyway, so that's it. So you've got to watch out for little bits and pieces. Oh yes, that's right. No, I knew what that's where I was getting on. I got a bit lost there. So obviously you've got a left hand and a right hand thread on this bar. Now a lot of people say to me, Mike, I need a tie rod. I need a tie rod end for the left hand side. It's loose. And I said, what thread is it? Oh, no, it's for the left hand side. That's what I want one for. Because this is for a drag link, it's shorter just to show you. But if somebody's taken it off and put it on the other way around, it could be any thread. Nobody knows which is left or right. It doesn't. So you literally physically have to take it off and have a look at the thread. See? Now, like I said before, it's turning into a bloody lecture, isn't it? That is a left-hand thread. That is a right-hand thread. You see? Now on the series and things, they didn't change the thread. I think it was 11/16 UNF. I could be wrong. It probably will be. Or, yeah, I think it was 11/16. No, was it? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it was an inch size. It was UNF. But so they never changed. They never changed the sizes. So, like I say, when you're screwing them in and out, when you put these in, it's really important to get your tube. Bloody day. I've got so much to do as well. It's really important to get these parallel when you start off before you adjust your thing. So what I always do is make sure they're screwed right to the very end, both sides, and then you can wind it out to adjust your tracking. Because the last thing you want is this thread sticking out. I see, I've got it all the way around. Oh no, that's for that's for a drag link. Well, let me go back again. So the last thing you want is this sticking out too much. All right. So you know, if it's sticking out too much and the other one's stuck in, you have a chance of having that situation where it's clamping right at the very end. It's not good. Now, I forgot to realise this. Dear me. Right, take a look in there. Can you see? See, this is parallel. Just as I was talking about these things here, see? It's a parallel thread, so it clamps onto there. But this is a Defender drag link, Mike. Well, you'll have to rewind this backwards and forwards to make any sense of it. This is what's called a cross eye, this thing here. Discoveries didn't have it in Range Rovers because they put the steering damper at the back of the axle. But on the Defender they put it at the front. On here, this is parallel machined. So when we put that tube on, like that, let's have a quick look. When you put that tube on, it clinches tight around the parallel piece on there. It's really important. So, but you can't get them mixed up because this is, we can always tell because the cross eyes always had a left hand thread. If somebody says they want the track rod end for the drag link, I'll know it's right hand. I'll know it's a right hand thread because the other end was a left hand thread. It's about as clear as mud, isn't it? Right. I'll get back to work and we'll assemble this and we'll have a look at it all done. If at first you don't succeed, give up. And that's exactly what I've done with this because I have actually completely exhausted myself trying to put this springy clip on with this type of groove here. You can see how big the lip is on here. Ah, messed about for ages, couldn't get the bloody thing on. The old coil spring type clips, they were quite flexible, but these are a nightmare. So I found on my shelf one like that. You can see how easy. See the difference in the rubber. See, these are more like a concertina type of thing, like a bellows, while these are like a cone. So it's easy to get that springy clip on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply just change the joint. Time's money. But it gives us a good chance to see how we get these off. Let me get set up. For some reason, getting this clamp bolt off here, it always seems to be 7/16, and it always seems to strip. It's not 10mm. Oh. Testing my patience is this. Yeah. I think I'll cut it with a grinder. I'll cut the bolt off. Cut the bolt off, salvage that clamp, and yeah, because that's going to snap anyway. So let me cut the bolt off. Yeah, cut the bolt off. Next thing we need to do is get that clamp loose. Now this is another dilemma. This is going to be monster tight on here. Here. Now, obviously this is a heavy duty, you really need that. If it was a regular tube like this, which is one of the things I wanted to show you, is you put it on the anvil part with the tie rod in and belt the bejesus out of it. Bang, 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 bang. It'll break up the rust and it'll allow it to come out. It'll be a bit tight, but it'll come out. And remember, it's a right hand thread because this is the drag link. However, on this one, because it's got a, you have to be careful because of the shocks on there as well, the damper thing. Right. Because it's like that, look, I can't get in very easily to bash that piece. So I'm going to put it in the vise and see if I can just actually unscrew it. I bet nobody's put any copper grease on that. Let's get a tube. Oh, will that fit? Look at that, you can use your jack. Ooh. Ooh, that's not going to work. See if we can find a better one. This is the Land Rover ball joint removing tool, piece of tube. Oh, that is tight. I need to bash this here. I want to bash it here, but I don't want to damage the tube. Darren. Let me see if I can do that. You know these 5-minute jobs that take you all day? Yeah, you see, I can't quite get the handle to bash that off. Oh. You know, it would have been better if I took that damn steering damper off. See, people put these things together dry. They never use any anti-seize, and this is one of the things, you know, like a quick brush of anti-seize and that would have come out. I have no hope for this. Oh, bloody hell, that's tight. Heat. Would have been quicker to get that clip on, wouldn't it? I'm not sure how far the thread goes, whether this has been machined inside. Now I could have used my big propane and oxygen, but a lot of you people haven't got that. So I'm just using what you could. This is MAP gas in a yellow container, a lot hotter than propane. Oh, there she goes. There she goes. Of course, can't find my bloody candle, can I? Anyway, the idea is to work it backwards and forward. Like that, look. You want to break off the rust. Ta-da. Now, I would have put some penetrating oil on that if I had some. I was wanting to use my candle. I like using my candle for that. It's candle wax, but oh, there it goes. This is why, because you put something like PB Blaster on, you get lung cancer. Free. It says here on the thing. Free lung cancer. It's going to... Oh, bloody hell, it stinks. Right. See if we can get this off. We've all been there, haven't we? See what I mean about saying about taking that little, drilling the split pin out last? Because sometimes you just have to replace them. Right as a bone. Playing a tune, isn't it? Name that tune. I think that was from The Sound of Music. Oh no. So the thread does go into this tune. I bet that's heavy. Right, get some thread guard. I've got so many tie rod ends and bits on my bench now, I don't know where I am. Oh, wait a minute, bugger me, that's a bloody left hand. Oh, damn it all. That's a right hand drive off a series. Oh, bugger. I didn't realise until I took it off. See? That's no good. Damn it all. Now I'm in a panic. I'm pretty pleased that you're seeing this the same as me. All I've got left, this is the last one I've got on the shelf, a right hand drive one. Fortunately, got a greaser on it, but it's one of those with the fine thread, as I mentioned. We really sort of need an impact to put this on. But fortunately for us, we can get good access to it. So, panic over. That's a problem when you're overseas here. You can't just sort of stop a job and order one tie rod from UK, because that would cost, I don't know, $40 in air freight and shipping. Well, look how easy that is to go in. That's a lot better. A bit tight though. getting hard now. Getting hard. Unfortunately, I haven't got any taps for these because it's not a sort of thing I usually do. That's why I keep these on the shelf, these tubes, because they're cheap as chips. But the thing is, you're not messing about with tie rods and stuff like that. Just don't bother, throw it out, put new ball joints on, put new clamps on. Job's done. So I'm going to tighten this down, and I'm going to show you then the length and the measurement between the points to get the length right. Well, I'm thwarted. What a bloody job this. I'm glad you're seeing this real time, because this is just typical of a typical bloody job. That won't screw into there anymore. That is tight, tight, tight. Even warmed it up down at the bottom to get it off, and it just won't go in. It's just not deep enough, you know. I mean, there's the old one. A little bit warm still, but it needs to go in at least another 12-14 millimeters. You know something, it looks like, what time is it now? 3:15. I think I'll have a wander down and see if I can catch my friend JP at the machine shop and see if he's got a tap, so we can tap that out, because obviously the threads on the tie rod were good, you know, the new part were good, but there's something down inside there that's pretty bad. I can't understand it, because when we look at this one here, I'll pick it up with a pair of pliers because it's kind of warm. You can see it's nice and shiny down there, or is it shiny because it was so tight? You can see where the rust was here. Right. You know, this is where your day goes. People say, how long will you spend on that car, Mike? I said, oh, change the tie rod end. Probably about 5 hours. Messing about. So I'm going to take this off. We'll take it down to JP. Fingers crossed he's got a tap. All we have to do is clean it out and put it in. That's all we've got to do. But if not, Amazon, got to buy one. Damn. Right, back soon. Well, if I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all. When I left, in the last scene, I said I was going to go and see JP, see if he had a tap at his machine shop. Well, jumped in the Yaris, flat tyre, had to fix that. So then I was on my way, detour, 3 kilometre detour around town to get to his place. This isn't going well. And he didn't have one. He had every size but. So anyway, I came back and I thought, right, I'll go and get a Jameson's on the way home. They've got to put it up by 45 cents. Things they don't go up by like 10 cents or, you know, a few pennies. Jumps up. So that was bad enough. So anyway, I thought about it. What am I going to do? I really have to get that car off the lift because I have some other bits and pieces I need to do. And it's really important. Because this morning it was snowing and tomorrow it's going to snow too, and I don't want things out in the yard getting buried with snow then looking for things where they are. So I've come to this conclusion for tomorrow. I have, for the LS project, if you can remember that, the 110, I have to change it in from left-hand drive to right-hand drive, sorry, to left-hand drive. So what I'm going to do is I've got this cross eye here for a left-hand drive, and there's the difference between the two. See, if I put those parallel, you can see it's the angle of the shock that's the problem. The damper, if it wasn't for that, you could just chop that off, you know, and just not bother with it. But it's the angle of the dangle that's the problem. So what I'm going to do, because I have to change this cross eye on this assembly, I'm simply going to assemble this one now. Well, I'll do it tomorrow probably. Fed up to do. And just put this on temporarily. Just put the screws on, just so I can steer it out of the shop and get it out, and then I can get some other jobs done. Because I really am so far behind. It's unbelievable. Yeah, and then we'll do this another day. We'll do this another day. So that's it. So hope you learnt something. If you've got any questions, please ask. I know it was a bit of a mishmash of a day, but I do sympathise with you guys because I do understand what you go through. You know, this is the beauty about this channel. We don't do things like hands and say, well, you take this off and you do this and you do that, and then to put it back together again is the reverse of removal. What a load of bull that is. They don't tell you about how to get bits and pieces off and problems you have when you get stuck. Anyway, we will overcome. Alright, so we'll see you in the next video, and we'll try and make this Land Rover just that bit more better than yesterday. See ya.